time, this space really valuable for you?
Well, I've put a few notes down. I had a few inquiries this week, so I was using everything I'm learning here in this space to apply and practice. Um, I I had two sales, one that feels really beautiful. Um, and then there's a third right now that is I have a woman who's interested in doing a photo healing session for me. She's doing it as part of this like 50 acts of ritual for her 50th birthday, which feels
Mhm.
really beautiful. And she's expressed that she definitely wants to do more than my like five. I have one offering that's like for an hour, 528. And she
Mhm.
wants to do more than that, like more time, more than one playlist. So on my website, I currently have the next offering of photo healing would be for 777. And so here's my question. I feel boxed in by the numbers that I have on my website right now. So I think I'm wondering, do I leave numbers up on my website? Do I take them off so that I can have fun and play within every single scenario? Because everything is so different for each person and what they're wanting and what I might offer. And so I'm realizing in that, yeah, there's this fun ritual I get to have with, oh, but what if we did this? And like, so it can always be different and look different and cost different. So, um, yeah, I'm just curious for a reflection on that because
Mhm.
I feel there's like a really great opportunity for here because she wants to go really deep.
Mm.
And I could see myself extending some different things that aren't necessarily a part of what is being seen online on my
Mhm.
website currently. So I think starting there
This is a
feels
good, this is
good.
a good one. Um, I think there's a bigger, I think that like a bigger question around putting numbers on or not, right? And then there's like what might really feel good in this particular situation. So is it okay to separate those two threads out?
Mhm.
Was there anything else in those two?
Um, I don't think so, beyond just me still feeling afraid to ask for what really feels good and still noticing where I'm playing small or not completely valuing my time because I've been noticing how much time I put in leading up to, during, and after with the nature of my work. Um,
Yes.
yeah.
So if you honored exactly specifically for her what was on your website, and she's asking for more than the 528 vibration of love, universal love it. She's asking for the 528, 777 doesn't feel correct for you, but if you were to honor that in a way that did feel correct, like is there a way to do that really? Is that the sticky option?
I think what comes up is my fear of then someone being like, oh, that's too much. And then, yeah, and then getting the no.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, all right. So maybe we'll come at it this way, and I'm kind of poking around to see which road is going to lead here. Um, if you weren't afraid, and I'm not, it's actually isn't a mindset thing, but if you weren't afraid and you were so clear, like what would be the most amazing thing for this woman, not for all of humanity and you for all time, but just for this woman to bring in her 50th as a ceremony? Like, what is the unreasonable thing that you would like to put together? Are you clear on that?
Um, I feel like Well, there's more information that is coming from her on, because I shined the flashlight on her and asked her more questions of what is it that you want to embody in this session? And a few other questions like that. So she's kind of giving me more information. So I feel like I'll get even more clear on the actual like rituals. So maybe it's like that the number it's not feeling fully clear yet because of more information coming. So it feels like
Maybe.
it's
But if
okay.
it didn't, Kelsey, like if it wasn't about the medicine or the rituals themselves, like as individual entities that you could put in, right? But just like the container itself, so that you have range to choose. So you actually have no idea what's going to go in that yet, right? But like you're speaking to if I can put it this way, like the lodge that you want to invite her into. What is big enough to hold anything that you might want to put in? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like, I want to spend this amount of time with you, so and so. And I want this amount of time to be big enough to hold XYZ and to symbolize this desire of hers in this session for her 50th.
Mhm. It feels like I would want at least like 3 to 4 hours. And that's just my time with her. I'm going to be, spending time upfront creating, curating playlists, tuning into her energy. Afterwards, I'll spend probably if it's 3 to 4 hours of shooting, I'll spend probably the same amount of time editing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to provide her with like a few magical edits, and really create almost like a few ceremonies within the larger ceremony, which could mean 2 to 3 locations instead of one,
Mm-hmm.
which sometimes takes I'm talking about if I want to spend 3 to 4 hours with her, then that adds on driving time to that time, which ends up being even. So this is where my work sometimes gets really like, I get confused with how to like properly.
For you, and this is in evolution. This is to be clarified, but um, you have that A1 channel. There's more to it than that we will explore, but this really means professionally that you need room to make it up as you go and to be compensated for that kind of bespoke in that moment inspiration. And so it can really essentially be, hey, I've really put thought into what you've shared, and I'm aware of the options on my website, but I actually want to do something completely different with you. And you might name it, like, and it might feel unreasonable. It might feel brash or daring. I don't know, like whatever word you would put on it that you're afraid of being accused of. But essentially, Kelsey, it's really important that you at least give voice for what really would delight you with her. And that's where you communicate. And then say, yes, it's like 3 to 4 hours together. It might include, since you asked, multiple playlists that really speak to the different energies that you want to invoke and express or heal through this session. It might include, not guarantee, but might include different locations as I tune in to your energy in that time. It might, and it will include, the I just want space to do the preparations ahead of time, and I want space after to craft like the last pieces of those images for you for that final reveal, which is like the second ceremony. And ultimately, all of that together, one, I'm asking for you to trust me that I'm going to fill that with the exact elements of ritual and ceremony that are correct for your intention, and that really your investment with me is for all of that bespoke experience. That's what I really want. And the compensation for that, or the investment for that, is, I don't know, $3,300. I'm making that up. 5,000, whatever you want, Kelsey, 10,000. And then you get to like hear, like, so like, how does that feel? Is that something that you would also value being a part of? And like, you're leaving complete room, like, in sharing what you want. And she might lean in and be like, oh, that sounds so good. Like, thank you. I love bespoke. I would guess your people that come to you love it too. I can buy anything off the rack, right? This is me as a consumer too. But when I know somebody is crafting something specifically for me, I'm like, yes, please sign me up for that. And you can also say, and if that doesn't make sense for you right now, if that's not what you're looking for, like, I think these other options can be good, but I wanted to at least be honest with what I really found enlivening for myself, what I really felt in what you shared.
Mm.
And then if we need to go a different direction, we can. How is this landing for you? And then you can have a dialogue. Have you ever had those kind of conversations, Kelsey?
Yes, that feels like my current process or ritual is, kind of first I like write down so like I get clarity on what I want to communicate, and then I voice text, so that there's that connection and warmth. And really my aim is to also exude the energy that I bring to my sessions. Um, and yeah, there is this like a dialogue and back and forth. And I feel like though I've been missing certain like ways of expressing and languaging that like that which you just shared feels like that missing part for me of how to properly communicate, like staying in my authenticity and while also asking for what excites me and what I see, beyond these like little boxes I've put myself in on my website. So kind of a long answer, but like yes and no.
Mhm.
Yes, and I've seen where I know that there's been like this need for like an evolution in how I'm communicating. Um, because I've been more like in just like my artist, communicating from like the artist and not also communicating from like the empowered like business owner.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Do
that's
you find in some of this languaging or the way that is helping you? There's some upgrades here for you?
yes. Yeah, it's like things here and there where I'm like, oh, that's it. That's it. Like I know I'm gonna have to rewatch this to
Mhm.
kind of write down what those things were. But as you were speaking, it was like ping, 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 like little, like those were the missing pieces of how I can properly communicate and feel like I was, I have this, integrity card right here. And it's like, I always want to be in integrity. Um, and I don't know if there's like fear that I'm not being in my integrity with my communication or something. I don't know. It's more like I've been calling in and seeking like what are these little like communication like languaging that is feels in
Yeah,
alignment
there's
with
some
me.
there's nuance, and I love that you appreciate like detail because you understand this in craftsmanship, right? But just the nuance in language and transitions. Like every word, like when we speak it, how we speak it holds like a vibration, a power.
Yes,
Yeah.
and now I'm realizing that the fear, I think, was projecting my own lack onto my client,
Mhm.
or yeah, that person. So from that other live that we had, when you spoke about that, I was like, I've done that
Mhm.
from survival trauma or whatever. I get afraid that happens sometimes, and I don't want it to. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So this is where you get to be brave in your integrity and recognizing that there is a part of her, whether she's a yes or a no to this exact thing, like there's a part of her that would deeply value knowing what you really see as a seer, as a medicine woman, and that you get to communicate that in a way that also leaves space for her choice, for her to lean in and it be like like a non-issue that's possible here, where it's just a non-issue. um and then if it's not correct for her, like trusting that and knowing that you can choose one of your other options, but now you can choose it from a place of um correctness for you, right? Where you know where to narrow the image healing, narrow the ceremony so it's appropriate. And then if there's nothing on your current menu that feels correct, like you get to also say that, like, I understand what's all in there and I don't want to do any of that. Like, I'm not aligned with that. And so, yeah, you get to make the rules and then break them and remake them, even in a conversation with someone. And this is true for all of us because we have aspects of all of universal or divine energy capabilities. But this is even more so for 8-1s. I am an 8-1, and there has been some tricks and quirks to being a businesswoman and the artist in the 8-1. And there's actually quite a few of my clients who are also 8-1s.
Mhm.
So yeah, you're in good company. I understand the dynamic of being an enigma.
I feel that. I feel like I've finally really found my people.
Hmm. So if you got to communicate and create this like real thing that's you're like, oh, so good. And that part of you that's like the scarcity, right? We're just like, I love you so much. And like, mama's got this, right? So that like she's there and she's loved, but she's not running the show for this one. And you get to communicate from desire, whether you speak it here or not. But I'm just going to ask, like, what would be amazing for you to charge for something like this?
Before you spoke numbers, what was like alive for me was this like 1,500 to 3,000 range. So when you even said 3,300 or whatever you said, I was like, I loved that yours picked up where mine ended and went further. Um, that feels, it feels like my next step, at least with a single person for now, or at least with what I initially see. And I can see it growing into even those larger numbers with, because I've had visions even with, you know, having multiple sessions with people, like, let's meet for the sunrise, then let's meet for the sunset, or let's break it into 2 days, or let's let's do a session, and then, oh, let's do a dance session and really like activate you, and then let's come back and do another set. Like there's so many ideas,
Mhm.
visions. So yeah.
And Kelsey, I want you to tune into that vision more these days and like let that like electrify you, knowing that there are people who are delighted to be invited to things like like those. Um, because they can feel you and everything that you also channel and represent. So yeah, you could put and okay, I'm not going to limit you in any way, right? Like you can do your 1,500 to like 3,000. You can just say it's 3,000. Or if you like the vibrational numbers, you can stack up the threes. Sometimes I will create a range for myself that's secret that no one knows because I'm trying on new expansion. And so I'll say, for example, for this, it would be like 222 333, and maybe, I don't know, 555. You could say 444, but I don't know for this. And trusting that you will not go below that. It would be incorrect. And you likely also won't go above it because that would also somehow be incorrect for you right now. It'd be like deadlifting too much weight.
Mhm.
Perhaps your guilt, right, or some like fear would overtake. So creating that like buffer, and then really just being with her in this conversation, even in like the way that you do voice memos, which by the way I really love. And trusting yourself within that range, that if it feels correct in that moment, then we speak the 222, right? Or whatever number is at your bottom range. And you realize, these are my new muscles getting stronger. Like this is my new integrity and alignment inside, fortifying. And maybe you feel and you say, you find your words saying any number within that range. Maybe you can just sense like how much this is correct for her. And you say your full number, right? And then like invite connection and dialogue about it. I don't know, but sometimes I'll make a secret range that feels better for me than one hard number. And I'll admit, I don't know if we're going to share this recording with the crew or not, as I shared, but I think this may serve those who are intuitive. This is an intuition practice on numbers, where our head sets the range, like our businesswoman sets the range, but it gives our spirit room to find the correct alignment for today.
Yeah, I love it.
So what happens next after this, as far as this interaction with this woman?
The talking stick is in my court right now. So I was waiting to, yeah, I was curious if I would get time with you to chat about it, and was going to kind of integrate and process that, and then, yeah, kind of clarify for myself what I want to communicate, and then communicate it to her, and yeah, open up that door, because we haven't even really gone into numbers yet. It's been more of talking about what is she desiring and wanting to express and experience. And so it feels like this next step gets to be yeah, like me refining what I'm seeing for her, because I had initially shared like kind of two initial things and to see where she was at, and it sounds like she is like wanting more. So now I get to be like, okay, I'm hearing you're wanting more. This is what I'm dreaming up for you. And this is what I see. And here's the potentials. And
Mm.
yeah, it feels really exciting.
Good. And you get to be, she could be a yes to that without even any further detail on exactly specifically what she's looking for. Like that could, you could even build that in as part of it for this bespoke, right? Like this is what I really see for you. And part of that is us having dialogue together before it occurs, where I ask you exact questions and really custom build this, which essentially, Kelsey, is you getting paid for even the attunements up front, rather than that being just assumed as free before the sale occurs.
Right, which has definitely been my current state of operating.
And that could maybe be, there's a version of that that you could do for the 528 or the 777 version, like the not as bespoke, like little bespoke, right?
Mhm.
Like 10% bespoke.
Yeah.
Where you just have in the back of your business brain, like your lizard brain, right? Like this is like a couple voice memos back and forth clarifying intention, but this is not an ongoing conversation for weeks on what is aligned, what the intention is.
Mhm.
This is Uno playlist, not multiple. Yeah. This is one location. Those kinds of like loving riverbanks.
Yeah. I love it. It was fun. I got to test this out with someone who it's going to be like a couples shoot, and it was so beautiful. She came to me. So it wasn't necessarily like an invite on my part. Like she came to me and like gave me like all of the information I needed. And at the end said, "And what would you recommend which package of yours do you recommend?" And I was I love it. So it was like, oh, I got the invite to respond and recommend. And within that, it went from a couple's shoot to adding on an extra hour to then her asking for me to come over the day before and help with some styling. And she was like, I just would love to pay you for that. And it was like a really beautiful, like kind of blueprint.
Notice, yeah, no scarce. I would love to pay you for your recommendation. Like, yes, hell yes to that.
Yeah.
There are people, I mean, the evidence is here. Like, there are people just, that is such a value exchange. That's a yes for them. And I think you know how actually rare somebody like you really is. I mean, whether you use camera or not in your ceremonies moving forward, I know that's not always a piece of it, but I feel like many people are so used to hiring a professional who has like one main medium, right? Maybe one main, like this is sound healing, full stop. This is photography, full stop. This is how it works. That encountering like an enigma like you, right? Like you get so much more permission to recommend and share what you see and what you would love with for them in mind than you could probably ever dream. You really have all the space and permission and leadership that you want. Yeah.
Thank you. I have to tell you, I don't think I've ever felt so seen by anyone before. I feel like I thank you for truly seeing all of me. And I feel before meeting you, I've been like almost charging just like photography rates And not even, I know there's just photographers who just do photography and they charge even more than me. And so I just haven't really had, I think, a proper reflection of someone who truly sees what is being done, like in its multidimensionality. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're just at the start. So I love hearing that. Thank you. All right, so prices on a website, programs on a website. You're gonna love and hate this answer. This goes for so many situations where we're looking for one right answer and there's not one. And I even will go one step deeper, which is we don't even need to worry about it. I don't have prices on my website. I could, I guess. And as long as I'm in my authority that I can operate outside of those whenever I want. I also don't expect that you model after what I do or anyone, right? However, you aren't locked in. That's only like one narrative, one reality. So even if you decide to keep your 528, your 777, maybe the only thing you add is that you are a multi-dimensional being, and however you might language that, right? And so what you really love is creating bespoke experiences, ceremony, for people. And so if you at all feel like, I don't think you have to, but you can put like a little disclaimer that we may do one of these, we may do none of these. I don't know that that's needed, Kelsey, but it's just more permission, like space in yourself. Just like this woman, every client could be that. Like, you could have permission, just like you did with this couple's shoot, to break the rules anytime you want. And yes, they did ask for a recommendation, but you can give yourself that permission slip anytime. So if you have somebody who doesn't ask, right, they're like, I just want the 3-hour photo shoot, and you feel within yourself a no, you can say, that might be an option, but I would love to share what I would actually recommend. Anytime you want, because you make it up as you go, and you making it up creates opportunity for them to have what they really want. But they don't know how to ask for it. That's not their job.
Yeah, I think it requires, well, what I'm noticing is I right now get a very like broad spectrum of people. Like there might be some people I work with and they don't even really maybe get what ceremony is. And then there's other people that are like, give me all the ceremony. It's like, like, woo. So I think some of my challenge has been pricing within the different spectrums of like, or maybe there's like, I get like blurry with what the value still is. But honestly, I go back to actually, no, I think I'm just, again, I think I've been projecting my preconceived like ideas or lack or something onto them and then naming numbers based on that. So I just like needed to say that again because I'm realizing that, and whoa. I don't want to do that anymore.
No. The podcast inspired for this morning was on the conversation being actually not a conversation about money at all, but a conversation about commitment, which I define as decision and devotion, which is the decision to have as true, like I will not have this anymore as true, projecting my scarcity. It's a decision to have what is correct for you moving forward. And then the devotion to create for that, to communicate from that place. And that's where I find that money is a conversation on soul transformation. Just like when people are having a conversation about time, I never have time. I don't know, where's time? It's not time. It's never time, right? It's not a conversation about time. It's a conversation about intimacy. And so money is the conversation of decision and devotion. Mm.
Yeah, I feel like I'll be taking that into my meditation.
Beautiful. I feel like there's other places we could go, but I feel that this is like enough. There's like a divine pause here. Do you feel that?
Mm-hmm.
And then you
Yeah.
can just carry this into your meditation and soak in it.
Yes.
Mm. And of course, no obligation. Do you feel aligned if I share this, or would you like this to be for us?
I feel completely open for it being shared if it can serve in any ways that you see.
Okay, I will share it. And I know, like, I'm not even guessing, I know that it will speak and resonate with those it's meant to. Mm.
Thank you so much.
You are, more than welcome. It's my honor. Thanks, Kelsey.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Yep. Bye for now.
Bye.